And we're live. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Typical Skeptic Podcast, episode number 2442. Wow. And I have my good friend with me, Missy Hill. And I have to give a shout out to Eric in the chat. Eric says, Punxsutawney Phil is the grandfather of a psyop. He says, what do you expect from a being who hides his head in the sand? That's funny. Like, well, he doesn't hide his head in the sand. He hides his head in a I guess they keep them in I don't know what they keep them in. I can't remember. I was there, and we'll get into that tonight. I'll tell you guys about my adventure when I went to Punxsutawney one time, back when I was young. But we have Missy. It's just kind of going to be a fun show. We're going to kind of go everywhere, talk about all different kinds of conspiracies and paranormal and UFOs and grid work and polar vortexes and ice ages, everything, And you guys can ask questions too if you guys have questions. And Missy is a paranormal historian, a conspiracy researcher, a grid worker, and a multidimensional experiencer known for her deep dive analysis into timelines, hidden histories, global metaphysics, and the paranormal currents influencing world events. With decades of exploration into UFO encounters, interdimensional entities, ancient cosmologies, and the energetic architecture of Earth, Missy weaves together intuition, research, and lived experience to uncover what others miss in a spiritually engineered world of events. She is widely respected for her insights in timeline manipulation, psychic warfare, energetic sovereignty, planetary resets, and grid line anomalies, bringing forward information few investigators are brave enough to tackle. And tonight we're going to be we're going to be talking about a collective Groundhog Day, where where humanity's kind of repeating loops, cycles within cycles, ritual weather patterns, and seasonal energetic resets. So it's going to be a really good show. Yeah. And with all that said, I'd like to give her a big warm welcome back to the show. Missy, thanks so much for coming back on. How are you?
Great. This is getting to be a tradition. I think we've done Groundhog Day a few years in a row. I mean, this is one of those holidays I love because I never knew how much I loved it until I actually, I saw the movie many years ago. The Groundhog Day movie with Bill Murray and Andy McDowell. And the interesting thing about that is Andy McDowell actually used to live in Asheville. And when I was a massage therapist and I used to do chair massage at the what's called Earth Fair, the health food store there, Andy McDowell used to come in there and shop.
Oh, wow.
She had animal rescue and all kinds of things, but that's been quite a few years ago now that and I think she's since moved, but she used to live in a place called Biltmore Forest, which there's an interesting story about that, which maybe we'll get into that too. Maybe we'll get into the Fahey Castle. I don't know if we got into that before, but first of all, what I would like to share is the WNC Nature Center, which is a place that rehomes and takes care of injured wild animals, used to have a resident groundhog at least about 12 or 13 years ago, and it was named Nibbles. Well, in honor of that groundhog, I got myself a stuffed groundhog and I named her Nibbles.
That's so cool.
Nibbles comes to life this time of the year. She channels Nibbles, and what happens when Nibbles comes to life, she connects to the great groundhog spirit of Western North Carolina. So I'm able to telepathically, I'm able to connect and link in with these groundhogs in Western North Carolina. And I already knew yesterday that it was going to be at least 6 more weeks of winter, if not 2 more months of winter in Western North Carolina. Now, right now, I've been back in South Carolina for about 2 weeks, and I got from those groundhogs, because we don't have groundhogs here. We have something called fox squirrels, and in honor of squirrels, I'm wearing my squirrel shirt, my gangster squirrel shirt. I thought you'd like this, Rob. White squirrel in honor of the Transylvania County white squirrel in Brevard. Now, Brevard's gotten hit hard pretty much, but they survived Hurricane Helene. They really didn't get much during Helene, but the Transylvania, and that's something to put on our calendar, Transylvania sunrise, moonrise, and all that Montauk stuff.
Oh, wait, listen to this, Missy. I got to tell you, I talked to him. I talked to Peter Moon. Listen to
Yes.
this. You're not going to, but it's bad news. Okay. He told me he's retired. He told me I couldn't believe it. And then I said, I don't know if I have a copy of that interview. Then I found a copy of the interview. It's on like one website. It's on like Hark Audio, which I don't even think I've ever put anything on there. And then I was thinking, and then I think there's a copy of it on Spotify for creators, my interview with Peter Moon. And I was trying to get it so bad because I was like, man, he retired. And then I went because I looked up the date that I did it, which was like sometime in 2022. And I went into my files and it's no longer there. It's like it disappeared. So I must have moved the file. So I have no access to Peter Moon anymore, like not even the interview.
I wonder why he retired.
I don't know. I told him I was really nice to him. I was like, hey, if you decide, I said, if you change your mind and you decide to come back, I'd love to have you as a guest. And, he didn't really say anything else, like he was just kind of, that's a bummer. You know what I mean? Cause I really wanted that interview. I really wanted that bad,
I interviewed him. I don't know what happened to mine. I'll have to see if I can try to locate it. But, they took Blog Talk Radio down. But I think we should get Tim Schwartz. I'd love to interview Schwartz because he's what's left of them. And maybe we can get Maria DeAndrea. I've already got some people in mind that I want us to interview, some different friends of mine, but we'll go there later. I want to tell you, so Nibbles, when I was connecting him with the white squirrel, the reason I have white squirrels because, it's white, snow. But anyway, like I said, Nibbles said, definitely 6 more weeks of winter for anybody that's in the northern hemisphere, and then in South Carolina, probably till the beginning of March. So but that's Nibbles.
Do you think there will ever be a time where I think it's always 6 more weeks of winter, right? Like there will never be a time where it's not 6 more weeks of winter. Like the groundhog is always going to see a shadow, probably, right? It's always going to be 6 more weeks of winter. I don't think unless we would have like some kind of like real global warming event, which I don't think is, true. But I mean, like it would have to be like some kind of like, because this is the way the seasons fall, right? Like, I mean, like, and the pattern of our weather, it would always.
That's exactly. Groundhog Day is Imbolc or Candlemas, which is actually the cross quarter day between. We talked about this before, between the spring, the winter solstice, which we had December 21st or 22nd, and the vernal or spring equinox, which is usually around March 21st or 22nd. So you're always going to have Groundhog Day like on the 1st or 2nd. But I almost think sometimes, how did they come up with Groundhog Day? I think somebody in Ireland or Scotland had too much time on their hands, probably drank too much whiskey, was sitting around in a pub and said, let's just start come up with a silly thing that people can do. But then, what's happened with this movie and other things, it's actually become a mythology, because it's representing other things like, the karmic wheel, the cycles within cycles, the Wheel of Fortune card. It's showing us a thing that there's a repeat, like the Russian dolls or whatever. Actually, there's a show that on Netflix called Russian Doll, which is actually, you think of those Russian stacking dolls where the day repeats. And there's been other movies and stories that we've heard where the day repeats, or like there's a reset, or like a Mandela effect. And I'm surprised that the Mandela effect was actually brought up on that show today that you guys did.
I just wanted to tell you, my grandmother used to have, when I was a kid, I would go to my grandma's house all the time, and she in the cupboard or the closet, whatever you want to call it, she had the Russian nesting dolls, and I would take them out, and it would go from like one that was like this big all the way, and then you keep opening them up, and you'd find another one, and it would go down to like this big. It'd be like very like a really tiny one. And then a couple other things I wanted to tell you. I totally agree. It seems like our history, like we're in some kind of collective Groundhog Day, because our history tends to like repeat. This world tends to repeat itself over and over again. Like someone told me one time, like if you want to figure out the world, figure out patterns, because the world seems to go in patterns. You know what I mean, or something like that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's what it's doing, but even the pattern is breaking down. So like I'm saying, Imbolc is also a celebration of the goddess, and the traditional food is like eggs and milk, because this is when animals are being conceived and they're going to start being born in early spring and things like that. So, your goddesses are like Bridget, Rhiannon, Demeter, Persephone, so it's like, but the one you hear about mostly is like Bridget. It's called Bridget's Day. But this polar vortex is really a strange anomaly. When I started really looking into this is different, according to meteorologists and the things I was reading, the normal polar vortexes, which might happen for a couple weeks. But they're seeing that the something has happened with the troposphere. It's like the troposphere is like the surface Earth that goes up to like 7 or 8 miles, okay? Where this has your weather of, it's the densest layer in the atmosphere that has like the clouds and the water vapor and all this stuff, right? But when they look back at these polar vortexes over the years, the disruptions were gradual. Now they're not gradual because the oceans are heating up, and it's when this warm air meets the warm waters meeting the cold air, it's really throwing the jet stream off, and it's making it look like a question mark instead of a circle. I mean, it's just doing all these weird things. And even the stratosphere, which is supposed to be calm, it's supposed to have this calm and some like 8 miles up above the turbulence. Just think our planes can fly now. Years ago they couldn't, but they could fly like 30 to 40,000 feet or whatever it is above the turbulence, right? Because how when you get in a plane, you go through that turbulence, and then eventually you get up above the clouds and you see the sun. It doesn't matter what the weather's doing below that, you're good. But a lot of this is getting messed up, and they say that when you're looking at your weather and you see these cold snaps come in, be prepared for 10 to 14 days of disruption. I mean, this article I was reading said, stockpile your food, make sure you're prepared to not go anywhere, have an alternative source of heat and stuff like that, because they don't know. They've been tracking weather for 40 years, and the models that they followed now are breaking down. You can't depend on looking at what your weather has been. It's going through a shift. As those ice caps are melting, this, polar cold air is coming down further and then going back up because the ice is moving. All this stuff is moving, and it makes me think. I mean, I've been seeing so many memes online about people talking about ice ages now.
Yeah. I've been thinking we're headed for a mini ice age for a long time. We're not a long time, but I've thought that the last few years. And what I'll tell you, I've talked about this before. What tipped me off to that is like the cooling down of Pennsylvania. Like Pennsylvania is not a very warm state. Like we get brutal winters, but like I said, even in the summertime, Missy, it used to be so hot here. We used to be really nice in the summers, and now it gets cold at night during the summer. Like sometimes you have to go out with a jacket on. It's like. That's why I said I have no faith in global warming, but I do think I think you're right. I think we're absolutely like headed for some type of like mini ice age. You know what I mean? And what would that even look like in this kind of society? I don't know how people would handle it. I don't know if it would get so bad that society would collapse, or if people would just find a way to like manage it or live with it, I guess
South Florida, South Texas, and Southern California are probably going to get pretty crowded, I guess. I don't know, because there aren't that many places that would be that warm if we go through a shift. Now, here's some other key words that I've heard that I find out that are very, very interesting. Like, have you heard of a thunder snowstorm? That's another. Well, it's like a rainstorm with thunder and lightning, but it's snow.
Oh, that's cool.
Makes me think of Thor, god of thunder, like Indra, Thor, god of thunder. And then the other word that I was hearing with this storm was called the bomb cyclone.
Whoa, what is that?
Is like a hurricane, which they call bomb bombogenesis is a powerful, rapidly intensified, defined by its atmospheric pressure to all of a sudden create heavy precipitation and intense winds. It can cause dangerous flooding, power outages. So it behaves like a hurricane because the warm ocean water is meeting the cold atmospheric air.
Eric, I was writing to Eric here in the chat real quick. He wanted to know, can we they call in tonight? Yeah, we'll fire up the phone line.
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah, absolutely. I even said when I put it up, I said, we're going to get ready to rumble. Call the wild card line.
Yeah, we'll take calls tonight. It'll be fun. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'll do it now while we're talking. Yeah. Let me see here. I'll go to call in studio. Yeah. What I was going to say.
Groundhog. Tell us. In the meantime, Rob, tell us your experience with going to Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania. I've always wanted to do that.
Oh, my face froze. Oh, there we go. Okay, I'm back now. Okay, so I was 19 years old. So it was like, or maybe I was 21. I can't remember. I was right around the time of like 19. Can you hear me, Missy? Is that okay, or am I gone? Or can you, okay, you can hear. Okay, so okay, now they changed it. Like now, everybody in Pennsylvania here knows that they changed it. But what happened was my friend, like he got a hold of me and he said, do you want to go? And I said, yeah. And we smoked a bunch of weed on the way there. And then we got there and it was like, from what I remember, it was just like the movie, but like it was amplified times 100. I mean, it was like, it used to be like a huge party. It was like a Woodstock or Lollapalooza, which is crazy because it's a groundhog. You know what I mean? Like, but that's exactly what it was. And you know, you the whole time you hear, like, just like on the movie Groundhog Day, you hear them play the Pennsylvania polka. Have you ever heard that song? Like it's, yeah, they played that. They played that the whole time, or like, you know, and then people were drinking like crazy. But like one thing I wanted to do that I haven't got a chance to do is I'd like to go back up to Punxsutawney and get like a bed and breakfast, because I think that would be fun to like just kind of go up there and like, you know, get a bed, like a nice, like an Airbnb or you know, maybe, or like a nice, like a bed and breakfast, you know, because it's a nice, quaint little town. It's a really beautiful town. It's not much to do there, you know what I mean? But yeah, but I heard they changed it. They made it less of a party thing now, but I think people still do go up there and party and stuff. But yeah, it's and they do it every year, you know what I mean? It's like I don't know how to say. It's like yeah, it's like a tradition definitely here in Pennsylvania, you know, like everybody, you know, yeah.
How far is that from you, Rob?
Oh, Punxsutawney's only like 2 hours from me, where I'm at. Yeah, Punxsutawney's like, yeah. I'm gonna look it up.
How far is Hershey from you, where the chocolate's from? Because I remember when we drove the truck through there, you could kind of smell chocolate in the air.
Yeah, let me see. So I'm gonna see. Punxsutawney is let me see. Distance. I'll type in distance. I'll see. I think it's 2 hours though. I let me see here. It's actually no, it's only an hour and 15 minutes away from me. So I'm an hour and 15 minutes away from Punxsutawney, but I think I'm way farther from Hershey. Hershey's more out east. That's closer to Philly, but that's like I'll see Hershey, PA distance. Yeah, like people don't realize Pennsylvania is a fun city. I mean, you know, Pennsylvania can be a fun state. We have some really interesting stuff here. You know, we have Pittsburgh on one side and then Philadelphia on the other side, and in between there's a lot of farmland. You know, it's like probably like, you know, it's not as barren as Iowa. When I went to Iowa, I was like, holy shit, man! Like people could get lost in those cornfields. Like it's just like when I went through Iowa, I was like, man, I thought Western Pennsylvania was like very like woodsy, you know, or you know, a lot of like land, you know, and like very nature-ish, you know. That's what I've always thought about Western Pennsylvania. But like maybe minus the city of Pittsburgh, you know, but like Iowa's even has more land. So, you know, the whole theory that they want us to go into these 15-minute cities is absolutely crazy to me, because there's so much area where, yeah, I mean, just that's two states that I was thinking, my state, Pennsylvania, and Iowa, which has ample amounts of land for people to live in. You know what I mean? Like ample amounts of land. So the fact that they want to crowd people into these cities makes absolutely no sense to me, you know, like, because, yeah. And I'm sure you probably know that.
You are right. A lot of Amish towns in Pennsylvania, and Pennsylvania Dutch.
Yeah, out like central Pennsylvania and like a little towards the east. Yeah, but they come here too. Like in the summer, like if you like what you'll see like Amish people like working on roofs and stuff. They come to Pittsburgh to work, so they like to come to the suburbs here. And you'll see them just working on your neighbor's roof and stuff, and they're really good at it.
Are they really Amish or are they Mennonites? Because Mennonites are the ones that drive cars. I think Amish people are only horse and buggy and stuff and sort of keep to their own, but it's the Mennonites that are the Amish that aren't as strict.
I think you're right about that, but I can't tell. Like, I think some of them are real Amish, like, and I think they do like just do it to work and make extra money or something. But I've seen the Mennonites too. I used to watch that show on Discovery Channel. It was really funny. It used to be called Amish Mafia. Did you ever see that?
No, but I'd love it. What's it on?
It's an older show. It used to be on Discovery. It was when like reality shows were like real big. You know what I mean?
Oh,
it was
the Amish mob. You said?
Yeah,
the Amish mob.
Yeah. It's called the Amish.
What's funny too is that I totally forgot about is that Trump. There's that reality show people have been talking about that reality show that Trump did years ago.
Yeah.
Do you remember what that was called? I forget, but I think it's on Netflix.
The Apprentice, right?
Apprentice, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that was hilarious. We already got a caller. Should I take it? Should I take the call? Okay, yeah. Okay, let's take the call. And hello, you're live on the air with Missy Hill and Typical Skeptic Podcast. Who's calling, please?
Hi, Robin. Missy, this is Eric calling.
Hi, Eric. Hey, thanks for. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a few things for you all. As far as thunder and snowstorms, we've had a few on that where I live in the Midwest. So I haven't seen one for a while, but it's not always like maybe a couple of collapse of thunder and the lightning. It might not be the whole time, and definitely occur in the winter. One of the times it happened, it was associated with a tornado, which is really rare to get in the winter, but we get it once in a blue.
Wow.
So yeah, that's part of it. As far as today, first off, everything's awesome. I have something to say at the end, compliment you, Missy. I love you too. It was really hard for me to know what a warrior and how incredibly knowledgeable you are. Because when I first started hearing you on Rob, you just kept making me laugh, and I love your sense of humor, and I love when you sing, and you're just totally put it out there. So thank you for that, and your knowledge is incredible too. Regarding the Mandela effect, what Dr. Farrell had to say today, the Mandela effect is real, both personal and collective. However, I want to put this out there. It's very important. There are a lot of psyop Mandela effects, and I'll give you one example. Rob and Missy, you guys are really into music. I am too. I had a really extensive vinyl collection, and in that collection were lots of promo, DJ promos for clubs and for DJs on the radio. And I have like 5 or 6 different versions of the same song. You all are familiar with that. Well, here's one psyop for you for sure that's not a real Mandela. If you listen to the Was Not song, Everybody Walked the Dinosaur.
I love that song. I love that song.
Oh, yeah.
On the radio before, didn't have the lines, Everybody Killed the Dinosaur. And that's like the third, 4th or 5th track on that promo, or what was it from? I bought that one. It was a regular release. So there's lots of like editing, and the thing with Star Wars, maybe they saved some of that footage. It's really hard to tell when the things that they put out in the media, whether they're really Mandela effects or not. As far as Nelson Mandela, on the timelines I've been on, he died and came back to life 3 times. Not twice, but 3 times.
Wow.
So what that was all about, who knows? But some of these Mandela effects, I know they're real because I had a lot of personal ones. And if you've got personal ones, there's collective ones. So which one's real from which one's not real, I think that's the typical, let's confuse them, let's create chaos. Let's just create, ultimately they're going to try to slam us And if you see that Was Not One song was another song, it's just another re-release of an older version, or one that we never let the public have. So we have to be really careful with Mandela. It's very real, but there are a lot that are bogus that we fall for. So it doesn't really matter which ones are or are not. It does and it doesn't. What matters is that some of them are definitely real. So it's a real phenomenon.
Yeah. Eric, can I ask you a question? I gotta tell you this real quick. So I used to be a DJ. I used to be a DJ back in like when I was like 20, 21 years old. I was like real into like techno and stuff. So I know what it's like to collect vinyl. I used to love to collect vinyl. And then I wanted to ask you, what was another thing I wanted to ask? Oh, I wanted to thank you for donating today about that as well. And then there was one more thing. It was like, this is what I'm saying. What do you think the cause of the Mandela effect is? And sorry, I don't mean to take you off track. I kind of just wanted to.
Yeah, that's a $24 million question. There's so many theories on what could be causing it. I think, well, like I said, some of it's psyop for sure, because the ones that psyop know it's real and they want to keep us away from it. I think my best guess is that since there's, and it relates to Groundhog Day in a sense too, since so many timelines are out there, and some of us do jump timelines and don't realize that we are. And when you go to a different timeline, things are a little bit different. So I think that it has to do with timelines that the parts of the collective are on. And as timelines collapse, people come together and they like debate, well, it's Bernstein or Berenstein. So I think different people have experienced slightly different things. The different timelines, things might be just a little bit different. I'll give you an example. There's a local one. Our farmers market here, was a great farm. They do really good veggies and berries, and they were always called Baker, BAKR Farms, Baker Berries Farms. Well, the last time I went to the farmers market, it was Breaker's Berries, BRAKER, and of course everybody at the market swore that it was always Breaker, but it used to be Baker. So, I mean, that's a local one that happened. That's not one that somebody psyop this one. So, yeah how that happens, I'm not really sure. But I think it's got to do with timeline collapse or reformation. And there's probably a lot of others. The other deal with this that I want to throw out there, and Missy, I definitely hear what you have to say about this. But I think
I want to ask you a question.
That would be a Mandela. I also think that the little people / elves and fairies may be playing games with us. With that, so sometimes is that Mandela or do the little ones play with games with us? Who knows? It's really hard to say.
Yeah.
One more thing I was to get out, and then the asking
Eric, you think
regarding the Groundhog Day, there's something really I think key, and it relates Missy back to the movie. And I think that you'll find if you talk to your 20 backers or even the Montauk people, there's going to be a few of them that are going to tell you, I don't remember a whole lot of what happened, but I had missing time, something happened, and I came back to the same exact time and day, but 20 minutes earlier, and then that whole day happened all over again. So I think there's a lot of us that have experienced Groundhog Days because of whatever it is being taken, or I don't know what causes it, but I think you just imagine definitely that is a real deal. So the Groundhog Day goes on a lot of things as far as all the looping of timelines, and when people are taken and brought back, maybe they're not brought back exactly at the right time. They're brought back a little bit earlier, a day earlier, and they go through the same day all over again. And they realize, it's like a deja vu. They actually realize, hey, this is weird. I just did this yesterday. Well, that's the thing I remember. I was doing this, and now I'm doing it all over again.
Yeah.
So, and the last thing I was going to say, and I'll shut up after this, is, Rob, the show's incredible. I know you want to bring on some bigger guests, and I love all the guests you bring on, but what makes it really special is the fact that you're bringing people in that none of us know about, that are super incredible people. So your guests and the way you handle them, it's just outstanding. And there's nobody else out there doing it. And actually, you're doing things that Art Bell didn't even do. So just keep going on what you're doing, and just have faith in what you're doing is really the bomb, man. It's great stuff. I know I'm not the only one that feels this way, and I know you're really humble and modest. and I hope you stay that way, but know deep in your heart that you're really pulling it off.
Wow, that means a lot. I think Missy had a question for you. And sorry, Missy, that the audio messed up.
Eric,
Go ahead,
what do you
Missy.
Do you think CERN has something to do with this? Because I remember years ago, I mean, I thought it was CERN for certain things they were doing. And also I saw a TED talk, and this guy said that quantum computers, what they could do with quantum computers, where they could, extract things from time and be able to change time. And it was like bowing before an alien god. And now our government has admitted it can manipulate time. So I was just curious if you think these particles accelerators, the CERN's just one of the hadron colliders and particle accelerators, if you think that has something to do with it, because I sure do.
Did you hear that, Eric?
Yeah, I did. Did you talk about the linear accelerators basically having an effect on it? Yeah, I mean, I don't have any. I think it certainly could. I don't know enough about it, but I can tell you that the dark ones love those things. They find jobs where they can work on them and work with them, bring them into universities, and because you can make various compounds with them for like nuclear medicine, for example, for the medical field. I never really thought about all that before. I mean, I think with CERN, here's the deal with the fact that they've had the ceremonies outside of CERN and kind of blatantly flaunted those in front of us.
Yeah,
lets us know that there's something really important about CERN in particular. The other ones maybe as well. They wouldn't bother having a ceremony and doing the kind of stuff they were doing if that particular linear accelerator didn't have some significant purpose. As far as the timeline shifting, I think that technology may very well do it, or maybe other technology we're unaware of. Yeah, I don't. But as far as the definitive, is this what's causing it? I really don't know.
Yeah, where are you from, Eric? Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from the middle of the country, the heart of the heartland. So, Rob, I did spend about 8.5, 9 years in Pittsburgh working. So, I'm a Pittsburgh comrade.
Oh, that's cool. Did you like it here?
And really, something else, Mall World.
Mall World!
Like 20 years ago, I was having mall dreams, and they were super freaking boring. I was the only one there. It was usually night. It seemed like I also worked in a mall when I was 18, so I didn't really pay much mind to it. But now that I hear all this mall, and I haven't had it recently, but now that I hear all this Mall World stuff, it makes me wonder if I wasn't part of some like beta development on this Mall World, that whole deal where I was there. I was the only one there that weren't any creepy. It's just creepy being there. It was dark, and I was a really big dreamer back then. I'm not now. But maybe I had 15, 20 dreams about it. And typically the mall I was in was the mall that I spent a lot of time in as a kid when we were kids. When we were like 8 years old, you'd go with your friends up to the mall and you have to worry about getting abducted. So we were in the mall every Saturday. And we used to walk up there from our home and then, spend whatever $2, $3 we had on whatever. And the mall was a really big deal for us growing up. And I also wonder with Mall World, if it's not sort of they're putting the Mall World out there because we're losing all the malls. So they're trying to keep that part of the 3D visual illusion alive through our dreams for certain people. But it's a fascinating deal. But I definitely was part of that, but way, way back when. And now it's really developed out, kind of like if you started playing Minecraft, you were just the very beginning of it. I think I was involved in the very early stages of Mall World. So
wow.
I don't know if anybody else has
wow.
that experience.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna let Missy. I'm gonna let Missy respond to all your stuff we talked about. You brought up, Eric, and thank you so much for calling in. Like, do you want to give a shout out before we move on? And yeah, thank you. Do you want to promote anything or anything like that? Yeah, thank you for calling.
I just want to promote your audience because they're great people. You can feel it in the chat. The way people handle each other. And Rob, it's really incredible. I don't have anything personal to say, but I like the diversity of what you bring on. And I know some of these people you don't agree with, but you really do give all kinds of people a voice. And, it's up to us, like you say, to decide what we want to believe out of what you put out there. But I like the fact that there's not much of a filter on it. It's very unique. And it's the way that we're going to develop our critical thinking is to watch programming like yours. It's another really important thing for the audience. I have Spotify, and I've been going through the Spotify. I've tried. It's hard for me to mess around so much on the computer and pull up what episodes I want. So I went back and I started at the very beginning of what's on Spotify. If you put your other stuff on there, it'd be great too. And what I love about it, doing it on Spotify, is I have to visualize what they're talking about, especially like Renetta. I just love her voice. She's been such an actress, and James too. The loss of those two is devastating, but we'll get through it. But it's so incredible. I didn't know Renetta before I started listening to her after James died, and you started talking about her, so I started pulling up her stuff on your channel and a little bit on James' channel. But to just be able to hear the voices and not look, and it's interesting because I've watched the visual before, like an episode, and I've re-listened to it on Spotify, and it takes on a total different feel to it when you hear it, and it is like listening to a radio program, which most of the time I just listen to podcasts. I don't watch them.
Yeah, that's cool.
I really recommend to people, even if you don't do Spotify, is to just listen to Rob's broadcast without actually looking at any of it and listen to the voices. That's all I got.
Thank you so much, Eric. I'm gonna drop the call. That was amazing. That was a great plug for my Spotify, guys, because that helps me a lot when you guys listen on Spotify. So thanks, Eric. Thanks for everything you said, and thanks for all your nice comments, Eric. That makes me feel really good. And anybody can call in tonight, 573-877-7637. Sorry, 573-877-7637. Sorry, I couldn't think of that. Yeah, but that was amazing. That was a great call.
That was awesome, Rob, and it's brought up so much. But first, it makes me think about, I've been thinking about the GATE program and talked to a friend, and she's been looking up that too and how that ties into like Mall World and whether we drank that pink liquid, if that was for fluoride on the teeth. I don't know what that was. And then I was thinking about the SAT tests and IQ tests. But this past weekend, I have to tell you a dream I had. I thought I was going to share this before, but I didn't. I'm starting to go to sleep. My eyes are pixelating, and I'm seeing things that look like screens, like frame, like you can be in this movie set, you can be in that one, and you can be in that one. And you know what it was? It was Toilet World. It was.
Oh God, yeah, Toilet World's hilarious.
It was seeing a black and white floor, not exactly a checkered floor with a stall, and seeing the toilet. And I'm like, then I woke up and I said, oh my God, what is this? I'm going to dream about Toilet World. I don't want to dream about this. But it made me think about in Harry Potter, how they would flush themselves down the toilet to get to another dimension. I'm thinking, I'd rather dream about the old phone booth, going into the phone booth or picking up the phone like the Matrix, not being flushed in the toilet. Isn't that crazy?
Really.
There's something weird about the Mall World, and they've shown us that in movies too. They've shown us, I don't remember what movies they are now, but I've had Mall World that goes into like airport settings. Like I see myself like in a mall, then I'm in some kind of airport, and I end up in a casino or something, walking around between slot machines. Is that crazy?
Well, yeah, like the whole concept of the mall, Missy, that fascinates me. Like the real concept of the mall too, because if you think about it, like I told you guys, I was watching this pop culture channel where he talks about like how Christmas and Thanksgiving used to be better when we were like younger, and like like I just remember the 80s, and I know malls were around before that, but it seemed to me like malls really blew up in like the 80s when like music started getting more bigger, more music was more maybe aggressive, and like I don't know, like it came to be like a nationwide place for kids to hang out at, you know what I mean? And then like with the invention of like Nintendo and stuff like that, I think that just made and that it was weird. What's weird about it is like every state in the United States had their own version of a mall, and they were like similar. Like every mall had a Walden Books, every mall had a KB Toys, every mall had like a Cutlery World or something like that where they sell knives. Oh, right, yeah.
Record stores. It was like Specs and Peaches and things like that. the old record stores, and then of course like Barnes and Noble. I mean, I don't even know, does Barnes and Noble even exist anymore? It's hard to know. We know Blockbuster doesn't exist anymore, you know.
We have a Barnes and Noble here. It's in Monroeville, Pennsylvania. Well, I think they have a couple, but like we have one that it's yeah. Someone mentioned Toys R Us, and the Jennifer said Toys R Us in the chat. Like, you know, that's
not around anymore. I don't think Toys R Us is gone in Western North Carolina. It might be other places, but it's pretty much gone.
Yeah. It's and you know, and I think I go back to this, and I say this all the time. I believe that the internet culture has become kind of a stain on, you know, like, because now people don't go out as much to the malls, or people don't go out as much to toy stores, or, you know, or video stores or anything, you know what I mean? Like, you know, like they invented Redbox. I don't know those. I've maybe rented a movie from a Redbox maybe one time. You know, I find it very impersonable, and I don't like it. Like, I mean, like I never got into that. Do you know what I'm talking about? Do they have those where they probably do? It's like a box and you just rent movies from it. You pick, you know what I mean? It's like usually outside of like a Walgreens or anywhere.
A lot of Redbox here when we had it on the island, but they don't have it anymore. Now you stream everything pretty much, or we go to our library and get DVDs. You know, if you want a DVD, you have to go to the library. They don't have Redbox anymore, but they do have outlet malls now. That's the thing. They're like your mall with your like second hand, like say it's a Dillard or a Belk. It's like when the clothes. Ron, you got to turn that off. I'm listening. I can't hear that over there. Sorry. I think okay. He's looking up some stuff I'm talking about. But
Toys R Us went out of business in 2018.
Toys R Us went out of business in 2018.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I don't know if you heard me. I said I was just saying hi to Ron. I don't know if he heard me. You know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hi, Ron. He also, there was something called Babies R Us. Do you remember that?
One of my long term. I almost got married to a girl. I dated a girl from 2001 to 2009, and she was in college, and she worked at Babies R Us, and I would always go and like have lunch with her at because I worked in Monroeville. Monroeville's. I say this like you guys know. It's like right outside of Pittsburgh, you know. And I worked for Wells Fargo Financial. I was like a senior credit manager. I had a really good job. This was in like 2008, 2009 at the end. And my girlfriend at the time was working at Babies R Us, and she was in college. And then we were supposed to get married, and then that never worked out. But I mean. Yeah, that was I'm real familiar with Babies R Us. Yeah, like
about Wells Fargo. Okay, here's a weird thing. Then I want to get back to some of Eric's things, but Wells Fargo appears again out of nowhere. They weren't around for a long time, and then they get popular again. You know, they were the original Pony Express was Wells Fargo.
Yeah. I worked for their. I worked for their like subprime lending division. Like, so I was like a mortgage broker for like a private brokerage. Like, you know, I worked in the city, and then my girlfriend wanted me to get a better job, so I went to Wells Fargo, and it was like salary plus commission, but it was hardcore sales. You know what I mean? And they wanted us to put people in bad deals, but I wouldn't do it. You know, but what ended up happening? This is really interesting. Like, there was that 2008 or 2009 recession, which was but you know, we can thank George Bush, and well, I think it was a lot of factors, you know what I mean? But like, you know, I was telling people there was a time where I actually voted for George Bush. I didn't realize though how corrupt the Bushes were. Like, I obviously learned that once I got into conspiracies and stuff, like how bad that war machine was of like George Bush and Condoleezza Rice. And I heard, not to change the subject, but like, and I heard his dad's all over the Epstein files, doing horrible things. You know what I mean? Wretched things. You know, Bush. I don't know if it's junior or senior, but I mean, I'm yet to look at the Epstein files. I can't look through all that information. I'm going to, you know, yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Missy.
It's probably senior. I don't think junior seemed like he was just along for whatever they told him to do. Like he was a puppet. I don't think he was that aware of anything really. I think he was being pulled by Donald Rumsfeld and Dick Cheney probably, and he's just there as sort of like a puppet, and his father was probably, but I don't know, you know, I don't have any opinions, but isn't it weird how like these financial things you just start hearing about, like what was it, the the big one for a while was Morgan Stanley, and then after that it was what was Smith Barney. Then you would hear about that. Now it's Charles Schwab, right? That's the one that you see everywhere. Is that? And I'm like, is there a connection between that and Klaus Schwab? I mean, is there any connection or not?
I mean, there's a big connection to the WEF and the Nazis. I mean, because there's Klaus Schwab, like a lot of those names in the World Economic Forum are Nazis. I believe the World Economic Forum is an extension arm of the Fourth Reich. I really believe that, you know?
Yeah, and Mr. T was there recently, right? He was at that, but not to get on that, but what else did Eric bring up? He brought up about, I don't know where he said, he's in the Midwest somewhere, tornadoes. I know how brutal they are when we were on the road and we were like in the Kansas area and had to sit one out, but I didn't know tornadoes were supposed to happen in the winter. I thought that was a summer phenomenon, but see, the weather is so screwed up.
Yeah, you know? and again, going back to that, do you think that's because they're messing with the weather? I mean, do you think that's like it's like not just geoengineering like chemtrails, but like talking like stuff like HARP where they can actually control the weather with remotes or whatever they do? You know, do you think that's going on, or even up in Greenland, whatever that might be? Because you know,
it's all the above. I think it's anything goes. I think they're controlling the weather. I think interdimensionals are controlling the weather, sort of like the Truman Show. And we're in natural cycles of coming to the end of whatever, you know, the end of the age. You know, they've been talking about the end of the age biblically, you know, the end of the Piscean age going into the age of Aquarius. It'll be interesting when we talk to Laura on Friday. I'll ask her about the astrological breakdown, you know, like what's going on as Aquarian energy's coming in. You know, we had the snow moon, but it's a lot of things in Aquarius right now. I know that. And Aquarius is, you know, a lot of things people think it was great. It made a great song, you know, this is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. But what's the dark side of Aquarius? It's the hive mind. And what are we in? Kind of the hive mind with AI. I mean, or at least people can't think for themselves. They're easily mind controlled. You know, they're baited.
Yeah, for people that don't know, the song Missy was singing, there was actually a song back in the 70s. It was a little bit before my time, but like it was called it was called the Age of Aquarius. Like, so they were talking about this back then, which I think is like fascinating that concept was around, you know, then, you know.
The Beatles brought that into with the Yellow Submarine, but that band is called the Fifth Dimension. That's the name. I think it was the Fifth Dimension that did the Age of Aquarius. So yeah, that
name for a band, you know.
Donovan did that song about Atlantis, way down under the ocean, you know. So, you know, there's a lot of good music like 60s, 70s. I think the best music was the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, really, if you want to know.
I do. I think I love 80s music. I love 80s. I do. I listen to a lot of 80s. I like a lot of 70s too. I do. Like, I think it was really good. You know, I like a lot of like house music or disco house or disco or like, you know, or like I like classic rock. I mean, I like it all. You know what I mean? I like the rock that's like the Police. I love like the Police and like you know, and you know, stuff like rock like that. I love like Daryl John, Hall & Oates. You know, I love Hall & Oates. You know, my cousins we grew up on Hall & Oates. You know, like that was good stuff. You know, I love that. So I don't know what made me think of that. Yeah, like
and punk rock stuff too. I like
that. Yeah. Oh yeah, I listened to a lot of punk rock my whole life. Yeah, and rap music. You know, and like you know. Not much country though. I never got really much into country, except like a little bit, but not much country. You know, like, yeah.
Me neither. But I did see Willie Nelson. He put on a good show. I actually saw him twice, mainly because the first time Ron wanted to see him, and the second time it's because the Grateful Dead, you know, Bob Weir from the Grateful Dead, which was the Wolf Brothers, opened for Willie Nelson. I'm glad that I saw them because we just lost Bob Weir, you know, about a month ago or about a month ago. So yeah, I'm glad that I saw the Wolf Brothers. Does anybody else have any questions or calls? I was pulling some cards earlier from my Nordic deck, my Aurora Borealis, and even the things that people are seeing in other countries, like in Tromsø, Norway, those weird squiggly line things that I got pictures of, that I thought, oh, I moved the camera. Well, you know what? I thought I moved the camera. Their aurora borealis photos are looking like these weird, like sheets of something coming down with like green and pink. And I mean, it's like, I'm almost thinking, is this all AI or is this real? It's hard to even know what's real and what's fake anymore, Rob, when you're looking at photos. No. It's impossible to know.
Yeah, I know.
It's impossible. That's why it's like, why try to film UFO footage anymore? Because everybody's going to think it's fake anyway. Makes my neck hurt looking up too much. But it's for your own edification and needing to know and seeing these things and processing and getting your downloads more than just having to prove it by putting up UFO photos, because you can fake the photos better than you can get real ones, because it's impossible to get really good real footage. It's always blurry, or it's just they disappear. It's not easy to do. But this is the deck. And I pulled from there. I pulled earlier before the 7 of Wands, which is about defense. And we are in a defensive posture collectively. And on some level, we have to be. We have to have strong borders. We have to have a strong energy field amongst ourselves. Our country needs to get a stronger energy field than what it's had. That's for sure. And then I got the King of Cups. But emotionally, you have to have some understanding, too. So you have to have your mental and your emotional in line together and have some understanding for the world, because this is the world card, to motivate coming together in unity consciousness instead of having this great divide. Because right now we could see that this country is so polarized. It is, and a lot of this is being made, like even this stuff, like we're looking at all the stuff in Minneapolis, some of this stuff that we're looking at, it's fake. It's definitely actors. You can tell that these people are acting a lot of the stuff that's on the internet, and there's really stuff going on, but it's sort of like what was the name, Sandy Hook. Remember Sandy Hook, the actors? Yeah. And then the Temperance card.
These people they're paid to their crisis. Yeah, I agree. Like they put people in Minnesota in their crisis. Yeah, like you know what they want to, and they want to rage bait people. They want to entice. They want to. This is all George Soros funded, I believe. It's these billionaires who who want to ruin the world. It's like I posted that picture of Bill Gates the other day, and I was playing the song "Everybody Wants to Rule the World," and then I saw a picture with it was Jeffrey Epstein, Bill Gates. And who else was in it? It was really scary. It was and Bill Clinton. It was Bill Clinton, Bill Gates, and Jeffrey Epstein. I was like, man, those three are like treacherous. And like I heard the Epstein files say a lot of shit about Clinton too. But what was interesting about this whole Epstein file stuff is a lot of stuff came back redacted. And I didn't understand that. I was like, if you're going to put stuff out, and they said, well, the stuff that they were redacting was CP and they couldn't show that, you know what I mean? Which nobody wants to see that anyway. So that, but I think that wasn't the case. I think that the stuff that's being redacted is maybe information about people that they don't want to get out. I don't know. But that's me. You know what I mean? I mean, like, have you looked into this all? Have you talked like the whole Epstein file stuff? Like, what do you think about it?
I don't know. I mean, it is a really, really big can of worms. But I noticed on Facebook today, this doesn't have anything to do with it. But I'm thinking of this. A friend of mine posted the pool at the Biltmore with the whole Gloria Vanderbilt, Anderson Cooper thing. Because Anderson Cooper is is related. I'm trying to think how to Gloria Vanderbilt. Is that his mother or something? And Hillary Clinton's lawyer, John Podesta, is the one that did these horrible pictures of these kids at the pool in the Biltmore, where they were saying, the Biltmore estate, the George Vanderbilt and the Biltmore estate, which is here in Western North Carolina. I'm a member of this Biltmore estate because I love to go take hikes there. The grounds are absolutely gorgeous. Do I really go in the house anymore? No, I haven't been in the house in years, but I love to go hiking on that property. It goes up by the French Broad River. It's just beautiful. It looks like you're in Europe. I mean, there's hiking trails, There's biking trails. It's beautiful. They have like greenhouses and like a garden where they make the plants look like a quilt, sort of like our Western North Carolina Arboretum. But Epstein, I remember somebody posted a meme a few years ago that it was Ellen DeGeneres put up a backdrop on one of her shows and it was Epstein Island. I just think all those people
holy shit. Yeah, she's up. Yeah, holy shit.
I can't. She was a man before. Have you heard this?
I wouldn't put it past, I mean, I mean, her name's DeGeneres. It's almost like she's a degenerate. You know what I mean? Ellen the degenerate.
It just makes me think, you know what? Nothing is as it appears. Everything is upside down and not right side up. So they're doing all this stuff in plain sight, and it makes you wonder.
Yeah. By the way, Boopster said this in the audience. She says she was the evil one, Vanderbilt, Gloria Vanderbilt, Michelle, and Michelle Warren from Jesse Zebitar. They are saying that Gloria Vanderbilt is actually a crone. So Gloria Vanderbilt is like a main witch and like this Luciferian caste that seems to control society. Gloria Vanderbilt's like a head, like she's a big, to do.
I've heard she's a Satanist and all this stuff too. I mean, I hear a lot of this about a lot of people. I mean, what have they've said that Tom Hanks, of course, we know about him with the whole typewriter thing, and during COVID, and supposedly he was going down somewhere. And I've heard that George Clooney's bad, and I've heard that Madonna, all these people. I'm sure, I'm not even going to say anything because I don't have any real proof. I don't have proof.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to say anything good and I'm not going to say anything bad. It's just nothing is as it seems. It's kind of like, we joke about Big Mike and, what happened to Phyllis Diller. I put all these things in the same thing, but why haven't they released the Epstein files? It is weird. I mean, like, why? Why is it? I don't want to talk, I'm in the middle. I'm not to the left, to the right. I mean, I agree more with the right now, obviously, because we know how corrupt.
Missy, I don't know. You must not have heard this. They just released. That's why I brought it up. They just released like 3 million pages of the Epstein. It's big news. People are starting to cover it everywhere. Yeah, what's coming? What's happening is they've released a lot of them, but a lot of this stuff's coming back redacted. And people.
That's what I mean. So it's not real. I mean, it's released, but is it really?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of information in there. Yeah, like I don't.
It's sort of like the Kennedy assassination, coming up with who actually killed Kennedy. Oh, by the way, there's a great show on Netflix called 11/22/63. I really liked that show, which was actually put out by Stephen King and J.J. Abrams, and of course, just that date makes you wonder, right? 11/22/63, about time travel, about this guy going back in time, to try to prevent the Kennedy assassination, and what would happen if you prevented it. Well, I'm going to just say this. Just because you try to prevent something, it may not turn out any better in the long run. I mean, it may or may not. So with these things that are coming out, they're coming out, but we're still not getting the answers that we want. I think it's more about pacifying us than any real truth coming out, is what I'm trying to say. What do you think, Rob?
I agree. They're putting out what they want. They think if they put it out, you're exactly right, that it'll pacify people. But like, we want the whole truth and nothing but the truth,
They're giving us breadcrumbs. They're not really giving us anything, like because when you were talking today and Joseph P. Farrell brought up 1947. Well, of course, I thought about Roswell right away. Right? We still don't know about that. We don't know, is that real or a hoax?
I think Roswell was real. I really do. But like what I did say, what I kind of disagreed with Dr. Farrell about, and I really respect him. I'm glad he came on and stuff, but like, he kind of downplayed the UFO crash retrievals, and I think that's a no-no. I didn't want to argue with him, but like, just now what I'm thinking is, I think all the UFO crash retrievers are a big part of like ufology, and it's a big part of like, you know, the whole story. You know, I think he's undermining that, and I think they have a big thing to do with like, you know, reverse engineering and what our government knows about UFOs and non-human intelligence. Like, and for him to kind of downplay that was kind of like, I don't know about that. You know, I wasn't, and I don't have enough facts. I mean, I probably could argue it, but I don't know. Like, you know, I didn't want to get into an argument, you know, but I think those crash retrievals mean something, you know, but I know what you mean about Roswell.
I don't know if that material means something, whether it was a crash, whether it was, we don't know what it was, but that debris, whatever it was, it behaves abnormally because Joshua P. Warren had some of that debris from that crash or whatever it is. And it does behave weirdly on a scientific level. I've seen it float around like under the you know, the different gadgets he used. So there is something, and touching it is a weird, because I have touched it and I actually got a download from it. It did open me up on some level. Now, did it open me up because it was like a placebo and I wanted it to be something? It could have been, but it did give me like a download. So there is something to the whole thing, whether it's real, whether, I mean, I say a hoax, when I mean a hoax, it's not a hoax in the way that we think of the hoax, but what were those beings, you know, because what are they, you know, aliens, interdimensional, you know, I think aliens are paratemporals or interdimensionals. I don't think they come from light years away. I don't believe in the light years theory. I think there's something called, you know, wormholes, and that's a way to get from one dimension to the next quickly. Hyperdimensional, very fast, you know, maybe in minutes or seconds, not light years, you know.
Well, like, also, I think, you know, like with like the whole Venusian thing, like I'm just using this as an example. Like I heard someone say that maybe like the Venusians, like Val Thor and like, you know, some of these other Venusians people talked about, that contactees from the 50s, 60s, whatever, talked about. I was thinking, you know, someone told me that like they could be existing in Venus on another dimension. Like, you know, so it ties in the outer space thing plus the interdimensional thing. Like they could be, because I guess like the surface of Venus is inhabitable or something. So maybe in another dimension it is habitable, and maybe that's where they come from. Maybe they come from Venus, from another dimension. You know? It
is. It's not a third dimension. It's a dimensional spectrum up from us, because they can't. We have a frequency fence. They can't get here in the third dimension, so it has to be interdimensional because we're in a physical body.
Yeah.
I mean, even abductions and all that, I think there's something that has to change with our physical body when we're abducted, you know, where it's abducting our consciousness, or it's abducting our astral body, or it's changing our particles, but our 3D body can't survive certain things unless they change our particles or do something to get us through the portal, because as this flesh body, we can't survive it. That's why with the moon, did we really go? I know this is supposed to be about Groundhog Day, but here we are. Because when you think about it, can we get through the Van Allen belts with what they showed us? Now, maybe with the dark side of the moon technology and those jump rooms and all that stuff that they didn't show us, that's how we went. Not with the fake thing that looks like it's going to blow up any second. That's not going to get there. That's impossible.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. People in the chat are talking about Isaac Cappy. Did you follow Isaac Cappy, that story?
Refresh me.
He was murdered. He was a conspiracy researcher, you know. He was bringing up a lot of stuff about, like, you know, like what they talk about in the Epstein files, you know what I mean? And I always tell people, I say, when you start to go after that element of society, they will take you down, really. They will come after you, you know what I mean? They don't want that being exposed, you know? But that's it's like the darkest secret of like this world. It's the most sickest too, but it's like, it's ridiculous, you know? Like what I mean is the whole thing with children and all that, you know, like it's like, that's what Isaac Cappy was researching, and he was finding out some serious stuff. And then they found him unalived, or and like there's a whole like Boomster says she cried over Isaac Cabby. Yeah, he was really trying to bring forward information. It's sad, like, and yeah, like it's that was I don't know.
What do you think about the whole thing? Like what I think it's Carrie Cassidy that said it's not just the pedo stuff, but it's also the cloning, the taking of kids for enhanced humans and things.
Oh yeah, I absolutely believe that. I think they're trying to. I think like you said that nobody's getting to outer space in one of those tin can rockets, but like I do believe we have portals, stargates, wormholes, stuff like that, and I believe, like Carrie says, they're taking people off planet. So I think people are being missing 411 or hijacked or taken or whatever, and they're being taken off planet to start colonies on other worlds. Some people are being asked to do it voluntarily. Like Laura Eisenhower said, she had an invitation to try to to go to Mars and start a new life. They wanted to recruit her to go to Mars, but then some people are being taken involuntarily too. It's really I believe that something's going on. It's really it's I'm seeing if there's anything in the chat. Max
Sir,
Spears.
come here. Yeah, Max Spears. I thought Spears. James, like Max Spears was like his idol.
Yeah, he loved Max Spears. Yeah. He was big on Max Spears. Yeah. I got to interview Max Spears' mom. She's a really nice lady. She's well, I guess we've been going for about over an hour. I guess we could finish up here. Is there anything else you want to share before we go, Missy, and stuff, or?
What are people saying in the chat? Anything interesting that they want to ask or?
Yeah. Does anybody have any questions before we go? Like we can. Joyful Jennifer says, "Do people still disappear from the Bermuda Triangle?" I'm not sure, but I would say probably because it's probably some kind of like weird electromagnetic anomaly, that's causing people to. What do you think, Missy?
Yeah, I think all these triangles have weird things. Like I've been tuned into the Great Lakes Triangle right now. That's similar to the Bermuda Triangle. I haven't heard of any missing anything lately, but yeah, I went to that Lagarita del Diablo, which is where you could see the ships go down. That was like the point of the Devil's Triangles, what they called it. That's why they called it Lagarita del Diablo.
Wow, that's cool.
And then it's the Las Vegas Triangle too,
Yeah.
which is with Area 51.
Yeah, and then there's the Bridgewater Triangle too. There's a bunch of them, right? There's the Bridgewater Triangle. That's what's famous for, like the Puckwudgies. That's where everybody sees the Puckwudgies. Like, what do you think about little Fun in the Rockies says he wants to call in. Go ahead, call in, Fun in the Rockies on Rumble. Go ahead, call in, Fun in the Rockies. He says, I'll give you the numbers 573-877-7637. We can take some more calls. Yeah. He said he had a situation back in 2009. Okay, we got a call. Here we go. This will be great. Okay. Let me just make sure it's on speaker. So is that okay, Missy? Do we have time?
Of course, yeah.
Okay, here we go. Is it working? Hello, you're live on the air with Missy Hill and Typical Skeptic Podcast. Who's calling, please?
Oh, perfect. Yes, my name is David, and so I had a situation back in, it was 2009, I believe. It was in Central California, in the San Joaquin Valley, in Ripley, California, in my hometown. And so, I had, through the years, kind of been a couple years before this point that I kind of started to awaken to things and whatnot, and I was back in my hometown. And so, my cousin and I, and there was a couple other buddies of us, but we were kind of just hanging out in the front yard, and all of a sudden we looked up. It was kind of dawn, in the evening, and we looked up, and there was these two ships. All of a sudden, the other two kids that were with us got really nervous. They were like Hispanic guys, and were more maybe superstitious and stuff. So they ran into the house right away. But my cousin and I, we started watching this and froze
we had cell phones at the time, but couldn't bring ourselves to grab them and start, shooting a video or anything, but it's still in my mind. So basically there was these two ships that were, I'd say 50 to 75 feet up above the ground. It has been maybe, we were in the, a suburban neighborhood, so like 2 streets over, but like just above the houses kind of, so you could really have a clear view of it. And basically I'd never seen anything like this before, but there was the dark silhouette, and then there was like an opening door on the side, and you could kind of see 2 silhouettes of kind of something walking back and forth, like kind of like a human type figure back and forth. But and then they were simultaneous, both of them, and as they got really, really bright, like the light came from the inside out to the point where it was extremely, extremely bright. And at the same point, they had kind of turned at the same point, and then turned eastward towards the central, the Sierra Nevadas that are to the east of us in the valley there. And so they just beamed, got extremely bright, and then just took off over the mountaintop to the point where it just looked like it was a star. 2 stars in the distance.
Wow.
In the distance. And so that was the experience.
Wow.
Your phone's cutting out. Can you speak up a little bit? Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Now I can hear you good. Yeah, you're good now. Sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So basically, so these two ships, in a sense, just got super, super bright and like cloaked in a way, turned, and then just took off. And I've never seen anything like that since. And it's still on my mind, and I think about it almost daily, and then now listening to you, it's definitely sparking a lot of interest and stuff.
Oh, that's awesome. Let me ask you this: like, what do you think it was? If you had, did it seem otherworldly to you, or do you feel like it was one of ours?
Man, it's really hard to say. There was no sound. It seemed very, very, very much otherworldly. But now that I'm hearing about how they're using different technologies and recreating such, it's hard to say, But what I saw was nothing like any of the military stuff that's anywhere out there in the media. It was something otherworldly, definitely.
Wow, that's awesome. What year was this?
The way that they took off, and the way that there was this door on the side, basically, where the light came out from, and you could see the silhouettes moving back and forth. That's where the light basically took up. So the whole kind of, elongated shape, I would say, it had an unbelievable glow to it, and then it just it just took off to the point where it was just a star.
Wow.
So,
holy shit! And what year was this?
This was like around 09.
Wow.
The summer of 09. Yeah. I was back home in my hometown, and it was the evening time in Central California in the valley, and just unbelievable. I don't know if you've heard of other stuff happening in Central California into the Sierra Nevadas and stuff like that, but we're right at the base of where the redwoods are, and a lot of different energy points are, I believe. So it could have had something to do with that.
Yeah, I'm gonna drop the call out. Thank you so much for calling and telling your story. I'm gonna let Missy respond to it. And thank you so much. That was awesome. That was a really awesome. I mean, that's so amazing. You had that experience. Thank you so much for calling. That was really cool. Like that was a real UFO. Wow. What do you think of that, Missy? Like,
Well,
if you heard
back then I would have thought all that stuff was otherworldly too, and some of it is, but a lot of it isn't. What's interesting about 2009, I remember listening to George Norrie Coast to Coast, and there was a man named Ed Grimsley who we wanted to meet because of the stuff that he was saying he was seeing through the 3rd generation night vision goggles, which I happen to have now. He thought at that time they were having battles and fighting up there. There were ships fighting, so on the Parkway, we saw some stuff actually back then that looked like it could have been things blowing up. I mean, I don't know for a fact, but Joshua P. Warren actually brought Ed Grimsley to Asheville and did a sky watch at the WWNC radio station, which is, is connected to, iHeartRadio, where he did his show Speaking of Strange, and they also simulcast, Coast to Coast AM there. So we saw some weird stuff, even at the radio station that night, like these, we'd see it and then all of a sudden it just do this turn and it would just disappear. And I don't know if it's because they got wind of the fact that he was hosting an event and somebody wanted to put on a show for us, because you see these key things certain time of your life and you can't recreate it. Like going to Wiseman's View, seeing the Brown Mountain lights over what's called Dogback Mountain, something that I played it over and over in my mind, wondering what that UFO was. And then after, a while, that was, I think, in 2011, I got to the point I really thought this was plasma, by the way that it actually disappeared into the mountain. And that footage actually was used on William Shatner's Weird or What, that Brown Mountain Lights, and the Brown Mountain Light film that I was in too, called I Saw the Light.
Wow, that's cool.
So it's just hard. It's hard to know. I mean, now I know when I was on the cruise ship and I happened to see this one craft, I call it giving birth to 3 other craft. And we were not far from Gitmo at the time, because there was some storm that was out in the ocean and we had to skirt the shoreline. I know for a fact that was military, because these military things behave in ways that we would think, because when he was talking today on, about this stuff, I was thinking, well, Lockheed Martin has exotic craft. They make exotic craft, so it's really hard to know anymore. And drones, it's really weird, Rob, is I had a dream about drones before they became popular. I was dreaming about drones, and that you could buy drones, all different prices, starting at like $100 going up to thousands of dollars, little drones and big ones that fly themselves. And I'm thinking, I didn't know what they were called back then, but then I figured it out. Oh my God, drones. Wow.
Yeah. Well, man, this was a great show. This ended up being a really cool show tonight, like we got some good calls, I mean, I put it out there. You guys I don't know if we should end this show now or what. I guess it's 10:30 here. Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess, we'll call it for tonight, and we can do another. Well, Missy's going to be back on Friday, guys. We're going to do a show. I got a show with Laura Eisenhower, and Missy's going to be a part of it. So, we'll look forward to that. And then, I have shows all week too. Yeah. Would you want to promote anything, Missy, or and thank you. This was awesome.
I'm going to see you guys on Friday. So I'll be talking about, Laura and I did some things together, cruise, and it'll be good to hang out with her on the air, because I haven't seen her in the physical in 10 years. It's exactly 10 years, because that cruise was in February. And I'll tell you a little bit about the weird weather to get to that cruise. But I'll save that for Friday. So I think we're doing that 7 p.m. Eastern. Is that correct, Rob?
Yeah, that's 7 p.m. Eastern on Friday. Yeah, that'll be a good Friday night show.
If people want to follow me, you can follow me on Facebook, on Instagram, on X. You can email me, Hill, Hill, Night, NITE Vision, VISION @gmail.com, hillnitevision @gmail.com. You can probably still find some old radio shows from my Galactic Earth Fusion and other shows I've been on. And, if you want private sessions with me, people just find me. I'm not promoting anything per se right now, but I will be, soon, as far as I'll be letting you know some of the stuff that I'm doing.
That's awesome. Yeah.
I'm in hibernation mode right now. It's winter, so I'm sort of hibernating, like the groundhog that comes out Oh, Arthur made an appearance when the caller called. Arthur came up and I showed him to everybody, but now he took off again.
I didn't see because I had I must have my other screen up. You know, that's what. Yeah.
And the bowl here. This is what I thought I would do to close.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, hell yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah. Man, that's powerful. Wow. That was powerful, Misty. Thank you so much. And all right, have a good night.